I wonder if Mel remembered.
You should have got a call to remind you.
I could be out of town.
But Aaron,
I got a call. Gary called me.
Aaron should have a call.
Yeah. Hello, Carl. Good, how are you? Carl?
Scene was
You all over the place, man. You got jobs everywhere right now?
everywhere.
I was gonna say, I think you're charged everywhere, even yesterday.
Tomorrow morning. Right, it's time to put a condenser in.
I'm hoping you're ready.
Hey, really?
I have no idea.
It'll take a few
Your
hours,
buddy.
hopefully.
Oh, ain't bad.
Hopefully.
Don't get
Could be all day.
You don't get all day pay.
Problem is, I'm missing out taking my grandson to that 4th of July derby.
He's out.
Oh,
Yep.
the fishing derby.
Hey, you always go to fishing.
He's already
derby.
paid us
Go
for
down.
both the
Go
background
fishing
check
derby.
and the license.
Oh, that's good.
I
Okay.
refund the license money to him and tell him,
No, because it's for the application process. Because he didn't get it back, even if he gets denied.
yes, he would.
Oh, he would get his, if he gets
The
denied?
license fee, yes. Not
Okay.
the background check, just the license.
Well, we haven't denied him yet,
I don't think that
So I would-
talk to
I wouldn't.
the bank. We're not told them about
and we may not deny him, if he, as long as he gives us all that stuff.
Right up with training.
I'm just writing a note to myself, or by Wednesday I'll forget.
They might do that off season too.
We add
Might be busy.
July 18th executive on that,
Then everybody he was talking about.
because we can't. I texted you about it for the 2 cases, because we just couldn't do them all next Tuesday.
Poor
but I
man
just
doesn't
wanted to
know
get
what's gonna
something for
happen.
you. We can wait. You want to think about it?
No, we can just,
About Tuesday, 18th is the best.
why not do it at 5 o'clock on that night of the meeting, regular council meeting.
We can do that.
Do it at 5.
Should we do that? Yep.
Hey, Mel.
Do it that
Hey,
way.
guys. How you doing? Good.
What's up, Mel? Mel?
How are you? Just got back from Columbus.
Yeah. How was that?
Okay.
That's your Tuesday trip. That's the 4th. They're going to fireworks. All right, give us a couple minutes here.
Well, Aaron's not answering his phone, so.
Okay.
Okay. Thought I'd ask you. I thought maybe you do, but.
I thought that was him.
Yeah? I have no idea. I thought it was good enough the day before. Turn your phone off. Bell, whatever.
Turn mine are off.
Yep. How many know you got on here? I like it.
Another minute.
Okay.
Right.
That's your hometown? Cleveland Pride? Oh, Mount Pleasant.
All right, guys, we'll go ahead and call this work session to order. No need for a roll call, I don't think. This is mainly to discuss the possibility of,
Your Honor,
yes,
I'd like a roll call.
okay,
I'd like to just, definitely like a roll call.
okay, we'll get a roll call.
Member Tony Abbott. Here. Member Aaron Cook. Member Mel Davis.
Here.
Member Randy Abner.
Here.
Member Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
And me. And
Oh,
you.
President Kelly Malone and myself. And myself. City Attorney Dal Lone.
And him. Okay, thank you. But this is mainly to discuss the possibility of a sports complex going in over at near the Cap Fields on the fairgrounds property. I think you guys have presented to us at an earlier date, of course. And what we're looking for is mainly, I think we had asked you to come back with what the ask is from the city, correct? Going forward, and then that'll give us some information that we can then discuss, and we can continue to ask questions and hopefully keep moving forward. Okay, so I'll let you guys take the podium and address council.
Yeah.
Sure.
While he's doing that, first just want to say thanks again for having us back out and opportunity to present. Goals are, as Mayor discussed, Jay's passing out our ask from the city. I'd like to just recap on the project. Again, my name's J.T. Roberts. I'm with Town and Country Sports Complex in Wilder, Kentucky. Jay Kapinga and Ryan Schaefer are my business partners and lead the development side of this project. Just to recap the project, it's a 100,000 square foot multi-sport facility in conjunction with the medical provider, and Dearborn County Hospital has tentatively agreed to come on board as our medical provider. Within that 100,000 square foot structure, we'd be looking at a large turf area with the ability to remove that turf, and underneath it would be multi-sport surface to be able to host volleyball, basketball, pickleball, you name it, a variety of different athletic events. Our objective is twofold. One is to create large-scale regional draw. So sports, we think we can hold 20 courts, volleyball courts in this facility. So drawing teams from across the region that'll be staying in hotels, frequenting restaurants, and things along those lines. This facility could also hold 11 basketball courts. So the same thing, large-scale regional draw on a year-round basis. The second phase is a community aspect, and again, in partnership with Dearborn County Hospital in the health component, the health initiative, health and wellness and fitness. Talking with the CEO, Mike Schwebler there, that's one of their main priorities and their main objectives is to get out in the community, provide opportunity for not only the youth, but everyone all the way up to the seniors in a health and wellness initiative there. With that, Jay has passed out our project funding and source and use document. And I don't know, Jay, if you'd like to address council to go into this a little bit more.
So to try to give council an understanding of how the project would be funded and how we're looking to capitalize on the project, what we did was sort of look at various funding sources, whether it's loans, grants, city participation, statewide programs, and give you a sort of a tally of what the total project cost is, as it sits today, where the funding may come from, and then an explanation of how those funds would be used. So whether it's, so again, and I think in talking through some of the original meetings that we've had or discussions that we've had, this is for discussion purposes what we feel we need in order to make this project successful. And I think coming into this, we've looked at it and said from the beginning that this is a public-private partnership. That's the way it works. We think that we could do great things in the city of Lawrenceburg from a sports tournament play, and like JT mentioned, even during the week with league sports from a local perspective. But in order to make it happen, in order to be able to fulfill the needs for the tournaments, it's a very large investment, but it's a big investment for big opportunity for the city. And so how this is broken down, and I'm happy to get into more detail, but I just sort of created the main points, was we had discussed the loan funds. So the first one would be whether it's traditional financing or bonds. That would be your primary loan. Equity contributions, again, that's not necessarily cash. That could be in a wide variety of things. For us, when I say the TNC Lawrenceburg Investment Fund, we're looking at, that's our cash contribution towards the project. And then when it gets into the city of Lawrenceburg's participation, whether that's participating as cash, and then as it relates to specific project components, we can break that all out, whether it goes towards the dome, whether it goes towards parking or infrastructure. We're not here necessarily asking you for a check, but we're looking for participation. We have made a request for the land on the lots that we had discussed in our last presentation that are outlined. And it's the approximate 3.57 acres of city-controlled or owned property that makes this, our project and our plan, a reality. Without the property, it's sort of the starting block. We go back to focusing on a 4-acre site, and sort of the whole project actually changes from that point. The City of Lawrenceburg infrastructure grant, that number incorporates the various items that are outlined on the project cost summary as it pertains to the turn lane, park and ride, asphalt, paving, patching, thing that needs to be as far as the road improvements and parking lot utilization. And then that also translates into the north parking lot, south parking lot. And we had a number in there for relocating the 4-H facility. And the last component of that, of this, these sources and uses are, we'd go out and look at other funding sources on the state and federal level. One program is the new market tax credits. May or may not qualify for funding that help in revitalizing certain areas of the country by bringing in jobs and creating new opportunities. So again, I'm not sure if it would qualify, but it would be one avenue that we would explore.
Questions? So what happens, say, on the tax credits and grant part of it, the 10%, what happens if it doesn't qualify? Where's that 10% come from?
That'd be ours to make up.
Okay.
Some of the other thoughts for naming rights for the dome, there is the potential to position the project for professional sports that are looking for temporary playing facilities for teams that are playing outside of the area. And so I'll mention Bengals or FC or whomever, they have teams that come into the area that they're going to practice and play against. They need practice facilities, so we can. So there's other opportunities from an income and revenue side to make up some of that difference by gearing the facility to accommodate those additional needs.
Could part of the equity contributions for the city of Lawrenceburg, our 10%, could that be in-kind kind of work with, in relationship to utilities and things like that, or any kind of utility credits and things, as long as it equates to the, what, 10%?
I think, and Ryan and I and JT, we've discussed this, and we didn't, we were sensitive about coming in and asking for just money.
Right.
That I think like-kind is certainly doable. There's true construction costs for all these things, and there's, whether it's a hard cost or soft cost, there's cost for the project. And so whether it's infrastructure, whether it's participation in, buying a piece of land that we already have under contract, whatever makes the city comfortable from that aspect, we'll look at any of those avenues to, we're grateful for the opportunity that you're giving us just to come in and ask or petition you for assistance.
Can you define soft costs for me?
So I can give you the exact, so soft costs can be anything from interest carry on a project. And let me give you, I'll give you the exact, just so, apologize.
The engineering's under that, right?
Yeah, your design, engineering, general conditions. There are, construction loan fees. If there's any, like for example, if you want to talk about a commission, if Dearborn Hospital or any tenant was going to be a tenant in that building, we had to pay a real estate commission. That would be considered soft cost. Your attorney's fees, as you look at the grant process, or if we were able to petition the state or the federal government for a new market tax credit, there's a large attorney cost in order to pursue those types of funding opportunities.
You had mentioned here a turn lane. Where exactly, where is that?
I'm sorry.
A turn lane? You said something about a turn lane.
So the proposed turn lane, I'm going to flip this back.
I believe it's coming out of the property, right?
It's up here. So you have, I believe it's main 2 lanes currently. So it either, whether you're saying you're creating a center lane that's turning to taking a left, basically out of the property.
East.
So it'd be improving the flow.
South.
of that part. Again, with all the
South.
at some point, we had looked at and then discussed a future access road to sort of relieve some pressure off of this road. At another event going on at the same time, terminal, create a lot of car traffic. So, but one way to help alleviate some of that, or at least help with it, was traffic.
But you're doing work up in the parking right area then?
Yeah.
So the way this isn't just, when we originally came in, we looked at doing what could we do with the site and different properties, and we're looking at it sort of in a phased development. So the first phase is the one that we've discussed with, is just the sports dome and the medical facility and what I'm gonna call the hard, sort of the hard buildings, which is 14,000 square feet building that you see here. Everything else is just, let's see how well this does. Our goal is to build on it. We really feel strongly that we can make this all from the tournament side, which would then require additional fields, additional parking, and additional sport facilities. But today we're starting with dome and what this facility is sort of successful. But so the other drawing sort of illustrates what some of the other potential is with this site. I'm even talking about other neighboring properties, just by reconfiguring what is existing. So one of the big things when looking at the parking was the discussion of when you have your events, and you were there yesterday, and with the parking, and then there's so much parking that's generated from the market, and that you get so much more efficiency if you have drive lanes, if the parking lot, there's stalls that are created, you might get 25 to 30% more vehicles in there, designated space. that's what these gray areas are.
How about your light gray areas? Is that just gravel? That's
Again,
the
I
main
think it'd
parking
be
lot.
proposed as whether it's asphalt or concrete, but I think having curb and gutter and sort of having some sort of traffic flow pattern that's created, the ideal. I mean, it's not mandatory. There's no cost of doing that, whether it's value to determine, and we think it would. But we were just doing a study on how many parking spaces could be by parking stalls.
How, Mike, I know over the years, you guys have probably thought about asphalt on that, but I also witness every year how the water seeps up. Would it hold up?
We've actually, you can't just pave it, stripe it, blow up.
Yeah.
Because of the hydraulic influences. Looked at several options. From a permeable asphalt or concrete to a big series of relief wells, a number of different things, and none of them for the use we have. If this thing takes off, then that changes how we would have to look at it. Again, I've been to too many other, out in the middle of nowhere. They've got a baseball, a softball, and a soccer tournament going on. If that would happen, then I think it would probably pay to look at that, but you guys have to make that decision, but the cost, you can do it, but at an extreme cost.
Now, when you've got the park and ride asphalt catch basins, and then you got north parking lot, south parking lot, are those the areas you're talking about as far as that cost goes?
That's correct.
So really,
The only thing that really would have to be in there is the turn lane if we didn't want to do anything with the parking lots yet, right?
I mean, I'm like Mike there. I think first off, I don't think that much money's gonna cover it, because there are some serious issues.
If it turns into a parking problem,
Yeah.
some of that I think you will. By the expense.
And you have to experience that to believe it. When I came here in 2002, as utility director, people would tell me about the water coming up down there when the river went down. And I thought, that's backwards, you guys are crazy. But it happens.
Quite a bit of that has been corrected. I mean, with what you guys are doing, the LCD and stuff, does that do any of that over there?
No. Ain't none of that been correct. We got.
I mean, but we haven't
It's been
flooded.
a while.
It's been a while since it's
It's been a
flooded.
while since they've had to rope that parking lot, but Mike, I remember 3-4 years ago, or earlier,
Yeah, I don't know if we had to last year, probably the year before.
you would sink
Have
into
a
it.
rock solid parking lot that when the water comes up, I mean, it almost took 100 foot. You'll have a tow truck, tractor trailer, tow truck, trying to get semi-trailers out.
And I don't think it's an issue that we could do anything about all. And the only reason why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, that doesn't happen week in,
Yeah.
week out.
No, it just happens primarily in spring, when the river gets to some level,
And the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because I'd hate to see us spend $500,000 or $1 million on asphalt and then have you guys come in here on a Monday morning and see it all buckled up because of the water pressure underneath. And it's just because you're not from here and you just don't realize what we have down there. So right now, I think that would be bad money spent.
And the exercise was to, I
That's fine.
hear everything that you're saying, and I've talked with Maxwell
Yeah,
about the,
yeah.
sort of the conditions that are there, and asphalt definitely was not the recommendation. I mean, there are things you can do with concrete, as you mentioned, but whether or not they're wells or how you put pipe and how the water comes up in those times, I mean, those are expensive things, and I realize that. I mean, at a minimum, I think we, if you could create even with gravel parking lots, curbs and traffic, some traffic flow patterns that at least they're, cars sort of know where they're parking and where they're not to go out, that may be helpful. But a solution you talked about, you have to wait and kind of see how it happens. You don't want to have a major event and then have a big traffic problem, because that's the impact that we leave on all those parents and those teams. But as as a group, and there's other property that's around, I'm sure that we can figure out a solution.
No, I remember the Kentucky Speedway when they first opened, yeah.
So the anticipated parking spots you got around the facility is not going to be sufficient, you don't think, for the facility, correct?
Correct. So, I mean, I think for your daily,
Yeah.
to the hospital and that sort of thing, but for tournaments,
Right.
no, I don't think it would, no, I mean, we know that it will not.
Well, there's parking all over that fairground for those kinds of events, but let me ask another question. So if I'm looking at the ask from Lawrenceburg, you're looking at the 10% that you've specified up here, and then the land that we own. Have you all talked with LCD about the other piece of land that you need? And have they given you sort of a thumbs up or a sideway thumbs, or what?
My understanding is they wanted to have city council
Okay.
first and follow suit.
Okay.
I can answer that for you. I mean, I talk to, deal with him all the time, over at Land Consultants, Jeff Talkers. I asked him, they wanted to come make a presentation to the LCD. I talked to the board members. We don't have anybody over that's against it. They want to hear from us, but they want to hear from us at the right time. We don't have that big a part in this.
Okay.
You don't have, I think you guys have made presentations very well. I think that I've personally had an awful lot of questions. I've had people come to me numerous times. I think you know that there could be a partnership there, but I can guarantee you they'll never give the park up. I think they made that very clear. However, we do realize if you've been down there looking at the market, you probably have been down there looking at the ball fields. There are times when you're not going to wear them out, and if you do, we'll work on them. So I think they would be receptive to a presentation at the right time.
Okay. One other question I think that isn't covered here is, and I believe we had an estimate at one point on what the property taxes, what that would bring a year, and I think it was in the neighborhood of 200,000. Is that what at one time I thought I heard from you guys?
We discussed the economic impact from the tournament side.
Yeah?
I don't believe we've discussed the property tax side. I know.
I think
Well,
the number we threw out was a $5 million, which is, I think we feel that's pretty conservative.
That's what I wanted to question you about. I grew up close to Wilder, Kentucky, and y'all are involved in that. How much economic benefit has it brought to that city and that particular area? Do you know offhand?
So, I've been there since '97 when it was built, and at that time it was a turf field and a RC Cola trailer.
I remember.
And I don't know specific numbers, but what I can say is 4 gas stations, handful of fast food restaurants. The third hotel is being built off of that exit. A Mellow Mushroom restaurant's right there as well, the movie theater. So I think it was, it's one of those things that if you build it, they will come, and they've continued to come over the past 20 years, and we continue to see businesses popping up left and right off that exit. And it's expanded now to where we're running large-scale soccer events, primarily in 4 counties. So it's I don't know exact number, but it's big.
Significant.
It is, and it's for soccer. It's 8 weeks, 8 weekends. Volleyball, we took over the volleyball club. We're anticipating that's going to be 12 weekends, and it's not only at our facility, it's going to be at other facilities, and we anticipate a similar setup here where we're hoping to fill this facility, but also using high schools or some other facilities in the surrounding area as well. So it's a significant number.
Well, the way I'm looking at it, guys, is the only reason I bring the property tax piece up is if that number was 200,000, and I guess we don't know what that number is. If our contribution is $1 million plus, what's the payback, right? Or what's the years it's going to take to pay back? And and usually, I mean, I think we've talked about up here, 10 years or less is a pretty good payback.
Yes.
And to me, it seems like whatever our contribution is here, based upon these numbers and such, the payback would be less than 10 years, or at 10 years or less. Just depends what that number is on the property tax side.
And Dale, I'm gonna ask a stupid question. What's the difference between a bond and a loan?
A loan would be one that, you mean a loan from us to them?
Well,
Don't say that word.
and that's my feeling too, but
Sure.
here's where I'm going. We're always looking for ways to invest and maybe earn money. Would a bond be a safer bet than a loan? I don't know.
Well, can I jump in?
Yeah.
I know that the LCD is interested in bonding out some money.
Well, my next question was going to be, is this the type of project that we would be allowed? And I'm not really, I was thinking the city, but you're right. I've heard the LCD mention they would do bonds, but I don't know what kind of bonds they're allowed to do. And I don't know what kind the city's allowed to do.
Yeah.
I think you have to ask the State Board of Accounts, to be honest with you, and they would be the ruling body.
And the reason I bring up the LCD, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Dale, the reason I bring up the LCD is if, because of the formula we worked out with the LCD when we made them a part of our budget, when we got that 1.65 million in our budget for them, part of that formula was, if they can find ways to bond out some money, that helps their bottom line. It also helps us reduce that amount of money that we have to give them. So
And I
it helps
guess
both parties.
if we knew some financial people, both of us possibly might be interested in bonds. If it's possible, but that was just that's all I was thinking. I know we don't want to get back in the loan business, but I just wanted to know what a bond was.
Yeah, and
I've heard a lot of talk about them.
And there are other options too, and I just got back last Thursday we did a redevelopment site tour with the Indianapolis Redevelopment Commission, and their city planning involved a lot of flexible options with not just bonds and not just those kind of financing options, but also TIF and property tax ways of funding projects. So I think the best thing to do would be for us to kind of take a look at these parameters that they've presented, and then have, Tyler and I get you guys some options, maybe show you 5 different ways to do it and why each one's good, and that way we can look at all the options and get creative and set up the best structure for the city.
I do got one thing here that I have a problem with. And I hope, if it does get published, I hope it's not that picture. Because here's the thing, and we're working hard on Rizzo getting the racetrack surveyed so where we can do what we need to do with it. But right now, that picture's showing the racetrack gone.
Oh, you mean the dirt bike track?
Okay, I get calls right now from Babe Ruth, girls softball, 4-H. The only ones I haven't got a call from so far is the motorcycle track, and if that gets published, they're gonna be calling me. So that one there, until the city owns it, you know, I don't care what happens, but the other thing is, if you go on out, I notice you've got a couple of fields out there, and there is a lot out there. So that brings me to my question of relocating the 4-H horse club. What were your plans there?
So I think a lot of it is talking with them. We haven't had a conversation to what would work. I think at the last meeting.
I have.
Kelly knows what I've been going through.
The investment that they wanted to make in the type of soil and so forth. But I mean, we had shown one area being in the back where there's additional land. I think there, you have a football practice field in the back, and then some property that doesn't look like on a basis.
It flows.
So
every year.
that might not be the ideal place to do it, but without having the conversation and sort of what is available, we had just shown, you know, it back in the back, but it could sort of relocate. And the idea with the soccer fields or lacrosse fields, you have, you know, fields in other areas that are put in, you know.
That area actually gets a little bit in it, but it's not that bad. They might be, but would you consider when you put the 4-H all the way back there's no facilities there. So if we were to bring them around, say to one of the second fields and give them a nice facility like you guys said, we've got concession stand in walking distance and restrooms, actually 2 sets of restrooms in different spots there. I mean, if and the reason why I'm saying this is if this will get out in the public. Somehow or another, that picture is going to be in the newspaper or somewhere on the internet, and I would rather...
Not taking a picture of it, are you?
Yeah, I mean, I would rather see us with some thought process of the horse park and, you know, leave that motorcycle track alone right now until it's in hands that make that decision.
Well, and let's not forget, what we're talking about right now is just there. Just the, you know, the others is like a pie in the sky, phase in, later day. That's all we're talking about.
Well,
you know what I mean? You're right, you're exactly right. But if we would get out, we would have everybody on this council up here be getting more calls than what you're getting.
And I'd say we're not gonna move it, we'll move the Conservancy first.
I wouldn't care.
But I think realistically, there's some spots to move that horse arena that would be satisfactory to 4-H and satisfactory to the project.
Yeah.
I think for, I mean, those are discussions that need to be had sooner than later, because we certainly want to have an idea of where that is so we can share it with them, so it takes care of all of their, you know, nervousness, so to speak.
Well, I'm going to make a statement here. I think once we get the logistics worked out, who's the chess pieces, who's going to go where and so on, personally, I'm in favor of this. I think it's going to be a benefit to Lawrenceburg. I think it's going to be a benefit to the city of Lawrenceburg, along with the citizens of Lawrenceburg.
Well, and you know, I agree with you, Mel, 100% on that. But I'm not against asking Greendale to help us out a little bit too, guys, because they're gonna.
County.
Well, the county just probably spent their money. But Greendale, honestly, you know, if a facility like this comes in, all those restaurants in US 50 and those hotels down there, they're going to reap benefits, right?
Yep.
all down that highway between the 270.
So, I mean, when we're looking for our side of the funding.
That's the
I mean,
reason
we
I
can-
asked the question about development.
Yep. Good point.
And I want to just reiterate on what you were saying. When we were looking at the plan, it was strictly from an idea potentially at some point, and when we have the opportunity, just the detail on what's important to where they want to be, we can take all those things into account. We can look at it as sports complex, all sports. Horse riding, motorcycle, cars, fence.
Hypothetically, say we offer up our 10% and our land, and we start moving forward. Okay, you get that agreement from us, you get, say, the agreement from the LCD. What kind of timeline are you guys looking at?
So we're ready to start design as soon as we get some of those answers. First being the land and the funding, but our goal would be to have the facility open by next September. Correct? And Dearborn Hospital said that they would like to be in as soon as possible as far as their facility, which means eventually we could start building the bricks and mortar.
In the front?
Yes, first, and then the dome would go up secondary, all in the same process. But we're still, even if you said today, okay, everything's a go ahead, we still have probably 2 to 3 months of design and planning.
Sure.
And all that sort of. We don't really want to start building.
I mean, I'm looking at the proposal, I think it's, I don't think it's a bad proposal at all. I mean, the way I'm looking at this, you guys are willing to go out and borrow 7.5 somehow or another to do that, and you're looking for, you've got the $1 million+ investment, you're looking for us to put up some, and then help, with utilities. There are some costs that might, I guess I do, I've got one question that I think will come up. I guess I'm sort of speaking, giving you the heads up for conservancy. I am in touch with the guys. I don't know how they're gonna vote, but if the question is asked to you guys of, look, if you want to relocate and if you want to turn that into a parking lot, and if they aren't willing to give up that property but to give you a long-term lease on it and let you develop it, would that blow the deal? It's something for you to think about. It's fairground property, and a few of them are having a hard time with it. But it looks like to me all it is parking lot. So, I'm just asking you to roll it around. See what you think. It might be something that needs to come up at the presentation. Might not even get asked.
Well, I think it will.
I think it will too.
Some of the question, there's a couple of things come to mind when we talk about financing and having a lease on a piece of property that's connected to the overall value of a project. Those things could be, I'm sure there's ways to work around. That's number one that pops in. Financing side of it.
It looks like you don't have any hard, not sure.
We can make that work.
We
can make it work.
It's set there for conversation, and it gives you, all I'm trying to do is give you the heads up on a question that's probably gonna come up.
Appreciate it.
It's a much smaller piece of the whole project, that's for sure.
Yeah.
On far as the land, but it's an important piece because of the parking. But I think Paul is correct. I think it will be brought up, because I've heard it from a couple of them as well. And they should bring that up if that's what they're concerned about, and get an answer. But I don't know that it's something that can't be worked out. That's between you and them.
I mean, are we gonna vote on this tonight, or was we gonna think about for the next meeting? Because I'll tell you, from my standpoint, I would like to have some information from Dale or Reedy or some experts on this bonds and things, to where we could, in his presentation earlier of the shape of the city, it's not so much about what we do, but what we get back. So I think they would be good people to come in with, now that we got some numbers, and maybe give us some creative ideas on what we might be able to do, Kelly. I mean, what do you think? Can you talk to them?
Sure we can. Yeah, we can get those pretty, I think fairly quickly. It just, I think for tonight's sake, I think it's more of a, you want a positive head nod. I mean, we're going forward. I mean, it sounds like everybody's wanting to go forward. I don't know that we need to vote tonight to approve 10%, because it may work out to where if we can offer you something in the financing piece through bond, or if the LCD can, or a combination, whatever, that may be a win for you guys as well, because it may be a lower interest rate, and that's usually the way the bonds will work out. So I think, rather than committing to a percentage or anything tonight, I think it would be best to visit that piece of it, the financing piece. But in the meantime, I think it would be advantageous. It would be for me. I don't know about you guys, and I'm not a voting member, so I'm just cheerleading here right now. But I think you guys ought to maybe go. Paul, I think, has an idea of where the 4-H arena could be located over there. Is that correct, Paul? I mean, and I don't want to talk out of line here, but
I think our group, we have room for them, but we can't put them all the way in the back.
If we could identify a spot, and then that would give me an opportunity, along with maybe myself and Mike Knoll, to go to the 4-H folks and talk again, and just try to ease their minds. That's all they're wanting. They just want to make sure that whatever they get is as good as what they get or better, or have right now or better. And I can tell you from our standpoint, the city of Lawrenceburg never displaced anybody and never given anything better than what they had. I mean,
and I'd like to see on your numbers, back a little bit off on the parking lots, and that number for 4-H, it needs to go up. 15 grand ain't gonna move them. Let's put 100 grand in there on. I mean, Mike,
I don't know what that soil thing is. They talk about the soil on that, and I don't know anything about horses or anything.
Just sand.
Well, I don't know if you want to go talk to some of those people over at 4-H and just say sand.
It's loam and sand.
I don't know what it is.
Sandy loam.
I have no idea.
I mean, let them know we're thinking about them in this presentation. That'll go a long way.
Notice when they
it'll go a long way.
walk around there and kick all that. When I worked at the state fairgrounds up in Columbus,
Came up in a
Go to
meeting, that's
construction.
not, we're not saying anything.
would bring that stuff in the arena, show horses.
No, it benefits the project, and it could benefit us or LCD.
Back someplace else.
And we might not be allowed.
Yeah, I mean, so it may just, financing would be your piece and just roll with it, but,
Grow celery,
I think,
real
I
sand.
mean, our next meeting is actually the 17th, if I'm not mistaken, of this month. I can make contact with Reedy and get them to you guys could work with them on some different financing options, and I know they would have those answers of what is allowed and what's not allowed. We obviously don't. I don't. We can get those answers, and I think that, that doesn't even have to be a piece of the, moving the project forward. It could be a nice addition too, is what I anticipate that could be, so.
Mayor, did you say that meeting was the 17th?
Yes. Yes.
And our meeting will be the 27th of this month, so if something's decided one way or the other, and if you wanted to come the 27th, we can arrange that.
I would anticipate the 17th that we would be able to do something more on a formal basis as far as taking a vote. If everybody agree to that, so after we get to a little bit more information, and we'll take a vote on how we're going to progress forward, and then that'll get you to where you need to go in front of the LCD on the 27th, and then you may have we may be full go.
Just to clarify, so is there a vote tonight on any component of the project or not?
Really, I don't know what it would be. Other than, I think you're seeing everybody's head move up and down, like, in it's a very positive manner. I don't know that we need to vote on anything. I think we're still gathering that information a little bit. Now that we've seen the numbers and what the ask is, I think what you're hearing is that we think it's fair. But we just want to investigate some of the other options a little bit further. I also would like to talk with Mr. Clausen about utility credits to help our piece of it. That may be included in our 10%. That might be able to help our cash part of it, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, it'd be hard for me to vote tonight, just getting the numbers tonight, but I would like you to leave here thinking we just had a good meeting. I think that's what you're saying, right, Kelly?
Yeah, I think everybody up here, if I can.
A positive meeting.
Yeah, I think everybody's in agreement that this is a project that it would be very beneficial to the area.
Believe me, fellas, with this group, if it weren't positive, you'd know it right away.
Amen to that. But, so, I hope I don't know if it's what you expected tonight, but it certainly is a positive path forward.
Great. Just
Okay.
clarification for assuming things go well on the 17th, meeting on the 27th, is the information we presented the same information that you'll need for the else?
Not the financing piece.
Okay.
Just more to talk about your land, right?
Well, the land, and then if it goes well, Kelly, I think in that spot, you could get with Mike and our board to see what our finance guys think about possibly a bond. But I think that could be left up to you and Dale. We'll talk to them, because we're trying to move forward with our investments over there.
Okay. And what time's that meeting on the 27th?
It'll be at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay.
On the 27th?
27th this month, yeah.
Would it be helpful to have Mike Schwebler with Dearborn County Hospital there?
No.
Okay.
And
Jeff
I got
Talkers?
my reasons for that, no.
Okay.
I just think you guys have been making good presentations. It would be helpful to come with a different set, with some consideration to the horse people. That would help.
Keep that other page off and just use this.
I know y'all can do that.
Anybody, you guys got any questions before we?
I don't.
Anybody down here?
And the racetrack. Motorcycle.
Yeah, motorcycle track.
That group showed up one night. We don't want them back.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Appreciate you guys. All right. Let's move forward. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. See you at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Time for the owl shuttle cutting.
Remember that, Tony?
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
That tells you how old you are.
I know that. Thanks, man.
I bet Dell don't even know what that is.
That helps in any way.
I think I had really two really good meetings with them. And I
From
think
like-
they're.
What's that, Michael?
It is, they're married.
How's it going, buddy? Yeah. I think we can do that.
I think.
You just take mine.
We could, and I don't think it
Oh,
will.
God, on that. Everything else is pretty boring tonight. We try to keep it that way, but it goes off the rails usually.
What's up, Mike?
You can just take it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate to hear that. If you hear anything, let me know.
We are scheduling a closing.
Yeah, we have contracts on all the properties.
I guess
Yeah.
that's the correct statement.
Yep.
They're getting just out of seeing the effects.
Yeah. And we're ready to close on two, and we're just waiting to hear back from the union hall. We called that guy again today, but
Couple years down the road.
so it's good. It's really good. Well, you know, the exciting thing that we're finding out is a lot of the communities that have had a lot of success rejuvenating their historic downtowns have all started with an entertainment area, believe it or not, a music stage. That's always been the first thing, and that's always been the catalyst for all the other development. Yeah, and it kind of makes sense. You know, if you think about Washington Park and over the Rhine, Washington Park was the catalyst. Think about City of Fishers. We were up there last week. They had this grandiose plan that they've succeeded on. But the first thing they did was they just borrowed a couple bucks to build a stage, and they had nothing else going on, and that started everything else. So, you know, it's exciting to go along that same path. We've got a great design, and we'd like to do music on the river there next year. We want to start digging right after they get done in September with this year's schedule. And it makes sense, because, I mean, that's always been the cultural epicenter. Even when we didn't have anything going on downtown, people still have always come for music on the river. So we have to capitalize on that. We filed, yeah, I should have gotten you a copy of the complaint. We filed the complaint like last Thursday or Friday. So it's at the courthouse, and I can get you a copy of it. I'll have Yolanda send you over a copy. So we filed a complaint. You know, we tried a couple other ways of doing it. Aaron was going to prosecute it for us, and he didn't have enough, he thought. So we're just doing it the old-fashioned way. We'll see. Yeah, thanks. Throw Max some money, yeah. So, well, I mean, you know, it should be relatively straightforward. It's just a matter of getting a judgment up here, localizing it in Texas, putting a lien on there, whatever they've got listed, and then foreclosing, which we should be able to do because it's a private company, very lucrative company, but private. So, you know, they've got a lot of assets that we should be able to get to, and they're not going to want us to foreclose, so they'll just pay us. I want to say it's, I thought it was like 3 something. $50. Thank you. Thanks, man. Right. You know, just a small check. No one would miss it. See, buddy. Happy 4th. This last 20 minutes, please. I've already got a 4th of July. It's a resolution on purpose, so we won't have to. It's supposed to be an ordinance, but.
She worked that he didn't tell me.
They did.
I'm just trying to get that house done. I don't know. What's up, Sam? I thought they went over that.
I mean, yeah, I think that.
Hey, we're done, we got a plaque, right?
That's all we wanted. That's not what James
Tell them
said.
we want Ren 1010.
Yeah, that's not what James was talking about. And I talked to him, he said, well, they got a picture of Mario, and I told him, Mario, he said, you know nothing about it. I said,
He's just trying to stir something up. That's him.
his name wasn't Jamie Howard when he was around. When he was
Ever
little,
since I knowed
but
him.
they called him something else. That was a nickname.
Arbuckle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Dad don't come to meetings anymore.
How many?
You get bored?
Well, you asked a lot of good questions. Elliot? Said you asked a lot of good questions. Hey, how are you?
You wouldn't have to ask so many times if it wasn't so damn dumb.
Yeah, right. Somebody's got to ask them. Did you hear me? Somebody's got to ask them. This is all from some I know. I'm too quiet too now. I should speak up more. You know I ain't got it in me.
It's fun.
I know. At least once, right?
This work session, and I see Pullsworth walking out of here. He ain't been in here in 6 years.
I haven't seen him.
Oh, God.
I'm good. Thanks. I did. Keep going. Appreciate it. Keep going. Thanks.
I think I was the right answer for.
He's got a job here.
I know, right?
I think you're gonna want to.
Yeah, I'm right. I will. Thanks.
Yeah. It's tough. Well, I'm surprised he didn't call and say, there's a hole in Hinkfield now. Yeah, he stopped right there at it, went on the other side of it. Hey, how are you, Lee? I'm doing well.
New house.
Oh, it's getting there. It's getting there.
I'm so happy to see you at Mass Saturday night. Oh, that's Mario.
Yeah, we're in town finally, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, when we're in town, we usually try to make Saturday nights.
What do
Well,
they
you
call
know.
it? Dillsburian or what? Dillsburian
I don't know what they
call
call it.
it. When does it really
See? I got a new title.
No, I think it's suburb.
Hillsborough.
It's a suburb. Country folks, that's good.
I'll take it.
I like country folks.
I can handle country folk.
Good old country folks.
Now, neither one of them might not be able to float a ball. But you've heard that mindset. This is a chance
Did they all move his office or did they move?
Oh, I think they're still around.
There's no plaque on the building that says the lawyers' names. Don't say anything.
Oh, it's Irby's?
Yeah.
interest rate.
My neighbor said the same thing. So what happened? I
Maybe
said,
they're painting the building or something.
I thought maybe they're just making a new plaque. Maybe they got a new
Yeah,
lawyer or
that
something.
could be.
She said, well, how come there's no names? I said, oh,
I don't know.
doesn't say Zerby, LL or nothing.
Did you ask him? Yeah, when you find out, let us know.
Yeah, I'm going to get some from Tom here.
You'll get the feel if you talk to them about it. Tell them so. Spit it out.
Oh, you know, I forgot.
Hey, how's it going?
No, somebody's screaming.
Mike
started.
Hey, Mooch said, just called and left me a message, said he wouldn't be here.
How's Mr. Seymour doing?
All right. Good evening, everybody. On 4th of July Eve, I'd like to call to order the City of Lawrenceburg Board of Works meeting for July 3rd, 2017. Could I get a roll call, please?
Member Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
Member Alan Calloway. Police Chief Don Combs.
Here.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine. EMS Director Bobby Mills.
Here.
City Attorney Dale Weldon.
Here.
Utility Director Olin Clausen. President Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, any announcements? Paul, you got anything? Any announcements? The only announcement I'd like to make is, for those of you who may have known him, he was a 1979 graduate of Lawrenceburg High School. A fellow by the name of Bob Bonner. He was on I think the 78 state championship team, and I believe 75 as well, right, Mike? Was 76 runner-up team. He was an all-state middle linebacker. Passed away, I believe, Friday. Was it Friday? I believe morning. Just keep his family in your thoughts and prayers, I'd ask. And other than that, I don't have any other announcements. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
I'll second that. Mr. Calloway is absent tonight. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Committee reports, Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
I passed out to the board members the monthly totals for June. You have that in front of you. We had 60 total runs. Also, just to let the board know, fire crews, I send them out on daily inspections and pre-plans, and they are finding some minor fire code issues, and we're getting those rectified with the businesses. So that's all working out. I'm going to elaborate on it later, but we had water training this weekend, went really well.
Seen some pictures. Good. All right. Police Chief Donnie Combs.
Thank you, Mayor. We're getting our motorcycles up to date, our maintenance and requirements, so they can go on the road. It's been a long time coming. So that's being done for motorcycles. I also have to probably buy a couple of these battery chargers for these motorcycles. The batteries, they wear down and they don't want to start all the time. So keep them in the garage and for our cars as well in there. Also, our Narcan supply is out of date. It has expired. I'm going to have to probably get some new Narcan. Can't run on expired Narcan. So I've been checking the prices, and I also checked with the health department, and they only supply, they get it through grants. Funky budget the other day, and they cannot supply each department with Narcan. I only get that through our QRP response team from them, but they will not supply the police department with that, so I'm going to go out and get that. I'm going to go to actually a new one. It's a little bit easier with a spray instead of a tube. It's a new product that's come out, so it's around basically the same price as the other one. So I'm going to get some supplies.
I wonder if the health department couldn't go to the community foundation and get a grant, so then they would be able to supply the departments.
Very possible.
Okay, I'll check on that.
I'll check on it.
Yep, Kelly, okay.
That's all I have.
All right. EMS Director Bobby Mills.
Well, Mayor, just informed the board that we went over the applications today for new medic firefighter 1, 2. There we go.
Yeah, I think what Bobby is wanting to do after talking with him earlier today, young man by the name of Brandon Drake. He actually is a part-time for us now. Correct? If I'm
Correct.
correct me if I'm wrong here, Bobby. His qualifications are very outstanding. I think what he'd like to do, since we won't have another meeting till the 17th, he really needs this spot to get filled starting Sunday. So based upon if what I would like to see if the Board of Works would be willing to do is approve this young man for employment starting Sunday, as long as we get a clean drug test and background check back, and we should have that on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. So if anything goes awry with that, then we would postpone anything going forward. If they're both okay and acceptable, then the gentleman would start on Sunday. Is that what, am I asking the right thing there? Okay. Any questions about that, Paul?
How many applicants did we have?
3.
And you was probably asking for some pretty specific qualifications.
Yeah.
And that's your group decides on that, and that's who they want. I'll recommend that we go with the director's recommendation.
All right. So the way the motion will go is recommend employment of Brandon Drake with an acceptable background check and drug test for employment. Okay, I'll second that if worded that way. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion will carry. Okay, thanks for your work on that, Bobby. I'm shocked we didn't have more applicants, I really am. So, okay. Anything else, Bob?
That's it.
Okay, any new business? I don't have any.
Your Honor,
Yes?
I do have some I passed out to you. It's just kind of for your information to, this would be Old 48. You see it's a drainage structure going up the hill, be on the right-hand side. Flipping through the photos there, some various sizes of spoils and erosion. I know you don't have a full board here tonight, but I'd like to be able to go out and get some pricing on repairs.
I look at it all the time going up and down the hill.
And it's getting to the point where it's actually going to start undermining.
It's gonna start on the road.
Yes, sir.
You just want you want permission to go out and get some quotes to
Correct.
fix it and come back?
I will come back.
You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve Mr. Todd to go out and get some quotes to look at fixes for the, I guess it's just culvert on Old 48.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion will carry.
Thank you.
Don't laugh, Tony.
There's only 2 of you.
Tony, don't laugh. I don't even know why we're working today. I don't even figured it out yet. Oh, I don't want to hear it.
I asked for the day off. Still.
All right. No other new business. We'll go to old business. Mr. Clark, 2017 Community Crossings Grant Projects, Board of Works, we got a copy of this, and I believe from us, you're just wanting us to give a favorable recommendation for funding to the council. Is that correct?
For that, and this is the list of 6 projects to go ahead and approve those projects to submit. And then, yes, if you could forward a favorable recommendation, because we'll have to bring it up again to council to discuss the funding commitment portion.
We're not assured of any of these.
Correct.
But this is the grant where the state, we qualify because of our size of our city for a grant that we pay 25%, they pay 75% of any of these.
Correct.
Projects to get approved. That's correct? Okay.
That is based off the actual contract amount, but we have to have the engineer cost estimates to submit, and they'll base the award on that, but they won't issue any checks until we send them a signed contract.
Well, let's say if they, let's say they say, okay, we're gonna give you $500,000. Mike, would you bring it back to us so that we could prioritize?
It's project-based. There'll be 6 applications sent to the state for each of these projects.
Right.
They'll approve which ones, is that right?
Right, that we could get all 6, we could get 1, 2, 3 out of the 6, or we could get
Okay.
none. That's yet to be determined.
Okay, so they won't lump sum it, they're gonna,
Yeah.
No, because if you lump sum it, Paul, you take a chance on one project kicking the whole thing out. So it's not, they're not going to award us X amount of dollars. They're going to award us this project, and that project. And hopefully we'll get them all awarded.
what's the 3 Mile Ridge rehab and what's the downtown mill overlay?
Okay, the 3 Mile Ridge rehab is basically a 1.5 mill, 1.5 overlay. There is a little curb work that has to be relocated. There's some stormwater castings that are going to have to be replaced and or adjusted. There's some of the road valves that are going to have to be adjusted and or replaced. And then there's also the thermoplastic striping.
Okay.
And the downtown mill and overlay is, a lot of it, it's all based on the county's project over there and the water to get to it.
Center Street?
We've
Charlotta,
got
probably?
half of a portion of Center Street that's going to be done, half of a portion of Charlotte, and all of Mary Street between William and the south side of West High Street.
Okay. All right.
And guys, the reason why it's important to apply for these grants is that, like the mayor said, because we're less than 10,000 population, we qualify for the 75-25 because our county is small enough. We are a target for 50% of these state funds, and we can get up to $1 million against a $333,000 investment if we get the full maximum amount. So I've been to some trainings on this, and the clerk's office has, and obviously Mike has as well.
Okay,
I'm all for using their money.
Yeah.
like to make a motion, we move forward.
All right, I'll second that with these projects. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion will carry. We'll send it on to council. Okay, the other one is the Ratliff Landing dredging project bid authorization.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I know we discussed this. We finally have the permits in place. I would like permission to go ahead and advertise so that we can get this project done late summer, early fall.
Any questions? Paul, you got any questions? No. All right, I'll entertain a motion to allow Mike to move forward with getting a project bid on the dredging project.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion will carry. I have no other old business. Any of you? Paul, you got anything?
Nope.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims for approval.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion will carry. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion will carry. Lawrenceburg Parks and Playgrounds, as soon as we're seated.
Damn. It went up. Dale, you don't have an extra pen, do you?
Yes, sir.
You got one?
Of course.
Thanks.
Oh, revised?
Thanks.
Letters are too little, I can't read them.
I don't like the revised. Hey, what if I don't like the revised? It's
It's gonna be revised, but I thought it was gonna go down.
Randy, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
Your birthday.
All right, I'll call to order the Lawrenceburg Parks and Playgrounds meeting for July 3rd, 2017. Have your roll call, please.
Member Tony Abbott.
Here.
Member Aaron Cook. Member Mel Davis.
Here.
Member Randy Abner.
Here.
Member Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
City Attorney Dale Weldon.
Here.
Utility Director Owen Clausen. President Kelly Malone.
Here.
And myself.
All right, any announcements? I don't have any. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion will carry. One item under new business, Mr. Clark, Speedway restroom cost estimates.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was asked to do a preliminary or concept plan and get some engineer cost estimates on a restroom facility in the pit area of the Speedway. We have done this. We had option A and option B. Option A is the exact same restroom that we built in the front portion of the Midway back in 2013. Option B is basically just a reduced, about half the stations in it as the one up front. The only thing I wanted to say is that we did meet with Dave Rudisil, and he felt that option B, the smaller one, would not be adequate because of the number of people that he has in the pit bleachers and the drivers and their crews. So this is for information for you guys to decide what option you would like, if any. So I'll leave it up to you guys for some discussion.
Questions?
Yeah, is there an option C? These are pretty expensive.
Well,
Just 4 portalettes.
3.
Oh, why?
Is there any way that we could still look into them? I know Mr. Seymour was kind of against this, but I still think they ought to be mobile so we can use them somewhere else. If we're going to pay that much money for restrooms, I'd like to use them instead of just 3 months out of the year.
Mobile went away.
I don't see why we just can't pull it up there, hook to the sewer line, hook to a water line, and then when we need it somewhere else, pull it somewhere else.
well, if we would have improved our maintenance department, I'd be all for it, but we
That's
just
it.
gave away restrooms because nobody took care of them.
That's
And
up to you.
I ain't willing to buy any more portable restrooms for our group not to take care of.
That's
just the
up
way
to you
I
to
feel.
approve the maintenance department, your board of works.
I don't think the one we had a tank.
I don't want to spend this much money, guys. I don't. I would vote no on this. But I went over twice this weekend, and he's got 4 portalettes. I don't care what he thinks. If we put him in some restrooms in the back, then, you know, I don't know what year they did all the improvements to the racetrack, but I look at it as an addition. I just want to put a nice, simple block building with 3 for each one and handicap accessible, and say, look, we own the track, this is what you're getting.
But what's
But however, we do have a few costs that aren't gonna change, and I'd like to postpone this because Owen,
Utilities.
utility, I mean, there is some heavy cost in utilities on this because, Mike, I don't believe there's any utilities very close at all back there.
Water and electric aren't bad. The sewer will take 750 feet of new force main and also a grinder pump.
And a lot of obstacles. So that is a cost.
What about a holding tank? Would that be an option? have it pumped out?
We got into that, Tony. I would highly recommend not to because of some of IDEM regulations, and it goes into, it would be pumped out probably that, because we looked at it for an RV station over there. It doesn't move, it's very low oxygen. The treatment plants don't want it. We even checked with having it where we'd pump it out and take it over to South Dearborn because of the low oxygen content in a holding tank, that it comes in as a hot load and kills their bacteria. I would recommend, after going through a lengthy process to find out about that, to not consider that.
Well, it's 30 foot from our water intake also.
Okay, well, how much is the sewer line, running the sewer line to it? I don't see that on here. Is it on here?
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I don't think any of the utility costs were on there, were they? I didn't see 100 amp panels on.
They're supposed to be in there somewhere, and I can't tell you the format, how they determined these, but this is supposedly a turnkey. But you gotta remember, this is a cost estimate only.
What do you guys want to do with this?
30,000 for this last.
Yeah. I want to get the cost way, way, way down, half of what this is. That's $300,000 for.
Well, I mean, I built the one behind all the way back for Pee Wee for 126. And that had a concession stand and a storage building. Now, it doesn't have enough in it, but I would hope everybody would support this project, you know, for 125 or so if we could get it down. But if we can't, then he can rent the portalets. So I just want to try to get it down there. Why can't we do regular block, not painted? Look at this urinal cost and this lavatory cost.
48,000.
I mean, they're charging $2,540 per unit. I mean, come on, guys, we can do better than this.
I don't think anybody's against it, Paul. I'm like Tony. I'd like to see the cost come down.
Me too.
$300,000, that would build a really nice house, 4-bedroom house.
Well, I'm with you, Mel.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll stand behind the project, but I won't I won't
Yeah.
do this.
Mario, you got a question or
I was
comment?
gonna ask the board, at what level, you know, like Paul says, we'll give him something. What level do you feel comfortable with price-wise to go in this with?
Well, I understand it's going to be more because of running the sewer lines and everything out there. So, I mean, I would go with half of it, up to 150,000 as high as I would want to put into it.
Well, let us go back and kind of back our way into it. We'll take those utility costs, see what they're gonna be. We'll run some costs on less fixtures. I mean, he's not gonna have far from having a Cadillac, but he may have a cheap Buick yet to deal with.
Well,
What about metal fixtures?
It's in a floodplain. We don't need the FRP. We don't need paint on the floors, the walls. I mean, all I want is a basic, something they can use and easy to clean. We can put water seal on the block. We don't have to paint anything. Paint it once, you gotta paint it twice. So, you know, it's working for us. Nobody gripes.
Right.
So
You wanna table this
You got a
then?
good idea, Mario, back it up. I'm with Tony, I'm glad to see you still supporting it,
Table
so.
it, but I have a question for the fire department.
Yeah.
If this is a block building with porcelain fixtures, concrete floor, steel partitions, why do we need sprinklers?
We don't. There's a lot in there, Mel, you're right. Look it over real good and ask some questions. I think it can happen, I really do.
Well, I'm hearing we want to table this?
I'd love to table it, let Mario work on it.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Motion is to table the Speedway restroom
I'll second.
project, seconded by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
He's gonna get the
Motion will carry.
bare bones.
Any other new business?
Mayor, could I address the board?
No,
Yes.
We'll give our parameters to residents, see what they can come up with.
I'm gonna come to the phone.
He must be serious. Chief is coming to the podium. You only get 3 minutes.
I know we want to get out of here, but, as everybody is aware, we acquired a boat, last year, from the sheriff's department. Well, we've been working since February, the fire department has, on what kind of training we want to bring to the guys, what'll work for, this boat. I didn't want to take 4 or 5 firefighters, dump them in a boat and say, go get them, and have them untrained. So back in February, we decided to go down the road on Swiftwater Rescue. And Swiftwater Rescue, when I first say that, you're thinking Rapids and West Virginia and so on. That's not the case, as we learned this weekend. Let me back up. We had the opportunity to work with Water Rescue beforehand, and we did have the boat on the water, if you didn't know that, for the regatta. So I don't know if you knew that or not. I wanted to get that in there. So what we did was, the state of Indiana has a certification. It's one of 7 branches of a technical rescue. And last year, I think I brought up that we're inching our way up the technical rescue tree. So, and we were going to originally go to confined space this year. With the boat showing up, they had Swiftwater Rescue certification, so we decided to go that route. And this weekend, we embarked, we hired a group to come in. We did our 3 quotes, and he was the best man for the job. And 22 firefighters went through a 24-hour Swiftwater Rescue Technician Level 1 course. And 90% of this class is the rescuer saving theirself. How do I go on a Swiftwater Rescue, and if I get in trouble, how do I save myself? We did hit 10% on victim rescue. I mean, but most of that was saving ourselves. If our boat capsized in the middle of the river, how do we deal with that as a rescuer? Because if we're out on the water trying to rescue somebody, we dump a boat, then the focus goes to our rescuers, okay? So, and that's what our class was. We dove into this, and this was the toughest physical demanding class that we had, in my 30-year career, we've ever embarked on. From black eyes to people busted in the face, kicked in the face, and firefighters drifting down a river because they broke away from where we were doing our drill, and they had to be rescued. They were not in any trouble. They just floated, did what they were trained to do. Boat went down and picked them up. We did, one of our guys did re-injure a knee injury, so we did have 1 casualty for the weekend. Then when we all gathered up at the end of this class, beat up, bruised up, sending texts, we feel like old men, we realized that we want to continue with some training, and we realized there's an asset sitting across the street from the fire department that we've never utilized for training. And my question to you all, would you all give us permission to use the pool after hours, either in the morning or evening, to conduct organized water training for our firefighters?
How many lifeguards you need?
None. None. There would be a minimum of 4, because, I mean, we could actually take the duty crew in the evenings, that would be some training. And this would not be I've then talked to them about this and said, this is going to be a structured training. This isn't going to be go over and going off the water slide and this, that, and the other. We can do...
Last part will not be on.
Yeah. We can do drills in the water with our PFDs on, and actually it'd be good cardio, because one thing I realized, I run on the elliptical about every day. I had issues breathing the other day. I need more cardio work. So Just let you all know, we've got, I can't remember the number for sure, we got 15 technicians, but we'll have nine were eligible to certify through the state, so we took that testing yesterday. But I would like to ask the board permission to get with the pool managers and talk to them about it, and move forward on possibly doing some periodic training. It's not like we're going to be in there every night. You may hear some screaming if we're permitted to, because that's part of the process. So.
I know I threw out a couple jokes there, but I think it would be very good training.
I think we can do a organized, eventful training.
You guys,
Mayor,
any comment?
I don't have a problem making that a motion.
I have no problem with it, but I would say it's probably going to be in the evenings because they had things going on in the morning, like swim lessons and
That's a good point.
Water aerobics and things like that, and they do a water test on one morning, so you don't want nobody in the water that morning until it's been tested. So I'd say your evenings are probably your best bet.
That's fine. That's fine. It wouldn't be, every night. It may be once a month for the next 2 months. I'll talk to pool managers and coordinate it with them.
Will entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right, motion on the floor is to allow the fire department to do some training in the city pool in the evenings. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Any other new business? Any old business? I'll entertain a motion then to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, I'm sorry.
I got one thing, it's real quick.
Sure.
Walking trail, I'd like, for somebody to address, since we've put the bicycles in, we're encouraging people to ride on them. I've had 3 phone calls because people think that the LCD take care of the walking trail, but we're only on top of the levee there. And people are saying how it's not looking groomed, cleaned, weeded limbs. So if we could send summer help and show a little bit of visibility on the walking trail. I know we have a lot of walks and things, but I've had about 4 or 5 people come up to me and mention it. So I just want it to be a focus.
I had the same thing during the bike race. I had a citizen come up to me and said it wasn't the same as it was when Mr. McCool used to come down and cut things down at the trail, and it was looking pretty rough down there. The Aurora side was looking much better than our side.
We can't have that.
No, we can't have that. So
Brian, can you address that? All right.
Thank you.
Okay. We got a motion and a second on the floor on approving the claims. Can I get all in favor?
Aye.
Second? Motion carries. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. Utility Board, I'll open that meeting up for July 3rd, 2017. Without Mr. Clausen here, unless somebody has something, we'll just we'll do a roll call, approve the minutes, but then we'll go directly to approving the claims unless somebody has a topic. But can I get a roll call, please?
Member Tony Abbott.
Here.
Member Aaron Cook. Member Mel Davis.
Here.
Member Randy Abner.
Here.
Member Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
City Attorney Dale Weldon.
Here.
Utility Director Olin Clausen. President Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
I don't have any announcements. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Committee reports, anybody got any new business? Or old business? Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Open up the council meeting for July 3rd, 2017. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Could I get a roll call, please?
Member Tony Abbott.
Here.
Member Aaron Cook. Member Mel Davis.
Here.
Member Randy Abner.
Here.
Member Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
Police Chief Don Combs.
Here.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Here.
EMS Director Bobby Mills. City Attorney Dale Weldon.
Here.
Utility Director Olin Clausen. Mayor Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, announcement, board reports, streets, alley, and curbs. Aaron, anybody have anything regarding streets, alley?
I've got a couple things on it.
Okay.
Shipping Street sign that we talked about the last meeting. Are we going to do anything with that, removing the right-hand turn?
I think, I don't know what kind of, I don't recall the discussion we had, but you're wanting it removed?
Yes. The Shipping Street residents have to sit there and wait for the whole street to clear out before they can go. The ones that are going south on Shipping Street, Donnie, they have to sit and wait for everybody coming off of 50. Because they don't have to stop.
I mean, for them to turn left?
Yeah, for them to turn left. You can't go straight.
It's helped tremendously for once we put that in, so the cars don't have to stop coming from 50, where we don't have a backup. There, for a while, if there's a stop sign there, cars will be backing up at 50. Now they can go. I mean, I think there's ample time for residents to make a left-hand turn there.
Well, residents are complaining about it, so I'm passing it on.
I've heard complaints when we did not have that. I haven't heard any complaints since we put that in.
I'll give them your number.
Give my number, that's fine. But I think it helps more tremendous, do it that way than the stop sign. I mean, there's breaks in there where I don't see where we're having any issues.
I think it's mostly in the morning.
I think it's more of a help than a hindrance for that. That's my opinion.
You okay with giving Chief Combs his number?
Yes, I will. Okay. All right, next, on St. Clair Street, I guess after the boat came in, there used to be a stop sign on the very end of Tate Street in St. Clair. Now that the boat is there, there's no stop sign on St. Clair. So they've just kind of given them like a 2-block runway. And there's a lot of speeding going on in St. Clair with a lot of kids living on that street. So the residents would like to have a stop sign put back on St. Clair at Tate.
I did not realize that, but you might be right. Did anybody else recall that? Used to be a stop sign there?
No. And Mayor, I have something I'd like to say. One of the cities I worked for prior, we got sued because of stop signs. We were using it for speed control. You can't do that. If there's a problem with speeding, ask an officer to control it. You can't use stops. I'm sorry, Tony. You can't use a stop sign to control speed.
But we can put a stop sign on an intersection. I mean, I don't see your
I'm just
point
telling
there.
you. I'm just telling you.
This is an intersection that needs a stop sign.
Mike, you got something to add?
Yeah, and I just want to confirm what Mel said. If you pull out the Indiana Uniform Traffic Control Code Book, I mean, it point blank, it's not if and or but, it's you shall not use stop signs for speed control. And it's been a few years now, but the last traffic control study that we had in Lawrenceburg is their recommendation was to do away with about 2/3 because it hinders traffic flow. And I'm just relaying what was said. So it's not to be used for speed control, and if you had a traffic engineering firm come in and do another study, they're going to come back and tell us that, hey, you need to remove 2 out of 3 of them because you are hindering the flow of traffic. Now, it's up to this board to decide if they want to follow that or go against it, but there again, I will confirm what Mel said.
But we can put speed tables in to slow traffic down?
You can,
Oh,
yes.
God, me, I don't want no little child get ran over, Mel, so don't, oh, God, me.
Ask an officer to come down and patrol it.
That will do fine for a few days. That'll do fine for a week.
Soon
But
as
then the
somebody-
officer's not there the next week and they're speeding again.
Soon
It
as somebody,
happens every day.
soon as somebody gets a ticket, the word will get around and they'll stop.
Word does not get around to Ohio people,
about if we-
people leaving that casino.
How about if we run over it? Let's go. Me personally, I can't picture where, right now in my mind where
Right,
it's
right in
at.
front of the parking garage. You come out of the
Okay.
casino and
I know where you're at.
go
Okay.
north.
Tony, they used to have one at Margaret Street, right? Used to stop there, had an intersection there at one
Yeah.
time. And done away with Margaret.
We can
Heard that.
research that if we used to have one there.
We just made it a straightaway.
Yeah, they
Okay.
got rid of that street.
Let's research if we used to have one there and report back on the 17th and decide what we want to do with that. I'd be interested in see if we did have one there or not. So,
The only thing I would worry about, Tony, is if we do put one in, is there any way, and I do remember it, and I grew up there. You
It's
grew
right in
up
front of your
there too.
house.
But what I'm worried about is if we just take and put 2 stop signs in, what about the people sitting at Tate wanting to take a right or a left and the other people from Lawrenceburg that are so used to just going through it? Is there any way that we could put something special on those 2 for a while? I'm just worried about everybody just taking it for granted and business as usual, and then all of a sudden we might have something
what if we
happen.
put a sign in the middle, like what do they call them?
We put like an A-frame stop
A-frame sign for a period of time.
For a period of time, I
Yeah.
think.
Normally,
Hidden Valley.
what we've done historically is when we make a change like that, and I'm as guilty as anyone, a habit of nature, is to park a patrolman over there and for the first 2 weeks, write a bunch of warning tickets for the word to get out. And then they get the hang of it and, you go back to business as normal and they learn.
We could do that, and along with an A-frame, I think would really help it right in the middle. I mean, people are going to see that for a period
Hidden
of time.
Valley just put up new stop signs on their same type of intersections, like the T's like that, and what they did, they put another sign up, caution, new stop sign. To let people know.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at that, and then can we revisit it on the 17th? And then talk about it as a group and decide where we go. All right? Okay, anything else on streets, alley, or curbs? Okay, next will be finance, Mr. Abbott.
It looks all good.
Parks and Playgrounds, Mr. Seymour Jr.
No, I'm fine.
Good. Fire, Randy Abner.
The only thing I was told to remind everybody about the fireworks safety for tomorrow evening, and then throughout the weekend here, the week.
Good point. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Moved. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Committee reports, Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
I passed out my June run totals, everybody should have a copy.
All right. Okay. Police Chief Donnie Combs.
Mayor, we're continuing helping DCH out with their ALICE training. We want to start that pretty soon each month with her. It doesn't cost us anything. We'll have a guy for on their heavy day to help them out.
Okay.
They really appreciate that. Our camera systems are being installed in the PD, so that's moving forward on that. We got another 5K next weekend, SA soccer through town, so we'll get together on that. With the blockades and all that. We're continuing our public relations programs. That's going real well. And Greendale called, we're going to help them out for us tomorrow night. They've had fireworks
for a little bit now, I think. Anything else?
That's all I have.
EMS Director Bobby Mills?
No further report.
All right, new business, myself, I've got a couple of items. One's on the agenda, one was given to me over the weekend, actually. The one on the agenda, everybody, we're all aware of the amphitheater that went nowhere, I guess, up on the levee. We've been in some preliminary talks with the LCD about removing that, or how to mitigate that, because right now it looks a mess, right? I mean, everybody's been up there, it looks pitiful. We actually very early on we thought we had some good cooperation with the Army Corps. Of course, that ceased pretty quickly. Can't return calls now, right, Paul? So what I think the path forward is we're going to come up with two viable options going forward on that, based upon some preliminaries from actual Strand and Associates did some preliminaries for the LCD, and we're going to present those. We're going to send those to the Corps, so we're actually going to them with a solution rather than a problem, and see if we can get them to react any quicker. Hopefully they will, but we'll just keep bugging them until they actually could maybe look at the options. We don't care which option. I don't think the part that I'm concerned about, I think right now it's a bigger safety issue over there than anything else. And I know we got fence around it, which creates a whole another litany of problems for me. I don't like it. But I just want to make you guys aware of what was been going on, but get your blessing or in a form of a motion to move forward with that. We will share in the cost of that with the LCD. So we'll approach it in that manner.
You have my blessing. Since last time I went to the doctor, after I was done my visit, he said, "Now come to the window. Can you do something about that?"
Go to a new doctor.
He doesn't like the fencing either.
Yeah, Tom, do you have some
danger?
Tom Schneider, I live on High Street. My suggestion would be to go ahead and send it to the Corps, and you're not going to get anything back for maybe 2 or 3 months, and it'll be so gobbledygook. So you should investigate a Corps. I know you hate this, and I've hated it in the past too, but a Corps consultant, okay? And then you explain the problem to him, and he goes and he'll get you an answer.
Good. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I think we've sort of done that with Mr. Mondell, haven't we?
Well, Mr. Mondell's not he's got a pretty good connections, a couple of them with the Corps. We had an inspection this year. We had a group from Buffalo, New York, come down and inspect our levee. Tom, I mean, your idea is great. The problem with the modern day Corps, they're not going to give you no advice. They give you advice and they bought it. They're not ever going to give it again. And I think I got 2 guys over here that'll back me up on that. They are washing their hands of any decision making. But I think we got a good plan, and I think that if we can get it in there early enough, we're hoping that we can do this on the next dry season. It's not going to happen this year.
Right.
Then my suggestion would be, don't send a letter, send someone down there and call and make an appointment down there and face to face and give them the letter.
Well, I'd be happy to do that. I mean, I'd be happy to go. I mean, I'd want somebody that knows anything about the Corps to go with me, but I'd be happy to go.
That's just
if that makes sense.
Just a suggestion.
Thank you, Tom.
Kelly.
Yeah, Mike.
Just a comment, Mayor, that the Corps doesn't work today like they did just a few years ago. What Tom's referring to is, used to be there were a handful of people, ex-Corps employees, that would start their own company, hang a shingle out, they would hand deliver. That doesn't work anymore. We've also, on our trail project, had them go down, hand deliver. Actually, I can't think of the guy's name, Paul, that you deal with. He was on vacation, so John Kerr actually met with Colonel Franks. And, everything sounded like, hey, in a couple of weeks, we'll have a turnaround for you on this. Well, that's been almost 3 months ago now, so.
It just blows my mind how they don't answer to anybody. It really is. I mean, I don't know. But I think what we don't want to do is sit back and do nothing.
We're going to this year, you'll be able to do it next year.
Yeah.
But be prepared for.
Oh, wait.
What area you have left.
Well, that gray hair might come back in dark.
But now, I think as a group, the LCD agreed, as long as the city would go in with them, that they agreed to Strand's proposal. So that's what we're voting on here, or need a motion on?
Yeah, I would like to get the proposal to these guys. The actual proposal.
Do we have Strand hired yet, actually, or does that come with a move? Is that what we're doing here, moving forward?
Well, I think that's all part of that process. I mean, I think it's twofold. I think Strand's sort of not been hired by either party.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. I think you guys have voted to move the project forward as long as we're in agreement to splitting the cost.
That's right.
So we don't know what that cost is yet, but I think both parties agree that we got to mitigate that amphitheater, whatever we got to do.
And right now, that cost is only for our engineering, light engineering, and then
It's a
being the
scope of
runner
work.
and the contact.
Yeah. So we'll have an agreement from Strand that we'll probably bring back before us to sign, and we'll have a better idea on the costs. So this is sort of, I guess the motion tonight would be just to move forward, proceeding with the project, along with the LCD.
Should I abstain, Dale?
How's it's a joint project that's gonna be funded equally by LCD and city?
Yep.
No, I don't think so, because you don't have any personal interest in it, so I don't think you have to abstain.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion.
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you. I was approached over the weekend, I guess this is in the future a little bit, but they wanted to get it taken care of. Lauren Hill Day at Cincinnati Reds game is going to be September 17th. I believe that's a Sunday afternoon. Along with that, they're going to be recognizing a hometown hero, which they've been doing periodically. The gentleman, I think, is from Aurora, if I'm not mistaken, by the name of John Borgman. He was a Green Beret or something. But Lauren Hill folks were wondering if we would be interested in entertaining, supporting, or paying for the cost of the bus to transfer folks to the game for the Lauren Hill Day. The cost is $750. And I told them I would bring it before you guys. I was going to have them just do a donation request, but that's over the threshold of the 500. So I thought I'd bring it to you guys and get your take on it. And so they'd like to go ahead and reserve it, or whatever they have to do, and be able to move forward. So I'll entertain a motion.
Everybody's looking down this way. I'll make the motion to do so.
Okay. Need a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you.
We don't want to break that rule very often, though.
No. Okay, Mr. Weldon, perf retroactive payments.
Thank you, Your Honor. This didn't get in the package, but I was able to hand it out to everyone during the work session. The chronology is that we had an employee that worked with Lawrenceburg Municipal Utilities that did not have his effective date of hire corrected to the original date of his part-time employment. And the way that the perf regulations are set up is that if you are hired on as a part-time employee but you were later hired on as a full-time employee, and the time that you worked as a part-time employee, you had a certain number of hours for the year, then you should be treated as a full-time employee during that time. It should be backdated. We corrected the LMU employee, and then during that time, we figured out that John Johnson, a city employee, had the exact same scenario. During that, those two phases, the clerk treasurer's office was able to uncover these last three, just so we make sure they're treating everyone equally. In these last three employees, I'm confident that a search has been done sufficient to state to all of you today that we won't have any more pop up, but these last three fit into the exact same scenarios as the other two that we've provided the same treatment for. So what I'm asking for today is permission for the clerk treasurer's office to do the same thing that we've done for the other two employees and correct their effective date and make their perf pensions whole based on that date.
And this was a culmination of people being hired in part-time and then going to full-time?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
So the hire date was changed?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any questions? We've had this discussion before with the other two. These are 3 additional folks, and we think this is the remainder. We believe so. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion is to pay the perf retroactive payments. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry.
Thank you.
Next item is resolution to vacate real property.
Thank you, Your Honor. If it pleases the City Council, we've got resolution number 2017-5, is that right, Mr. Rainey?
Yeah, you're right.
And it is a vacation of a section of city dirt lot number 2 alley, resolution to vacate real property. So today what I'd ask for is a vote to approve this resolution, which would vacate the city dirt lot number 2, the dirt alley, which is included as an attachment, and the survey in that alley is included here with the resolution. This is the extension of the project that we've kind of worked on, but this alley is part of Tiger Boulevard. I think Mike would be best to answer any questions if you help me out a little bit.
Yeah, it's partially under Tiger Boulevard and partially under the western end zone of the football field.
Okay.
You want to keep owning that.
I don't want it.
We can put a stop sign right on the touchdown zone.
We own a part of the pit.
Yeah.
Exactly, but it's an unimproved alley on the original plat of Lawrenceburg. There again, this is one of a couple. In the next coming meetings, you're probably going to have one each night. We did hold the public hearing at the Plan Commission meeting. No comment, much less any negative comments about it.
Okay.
No one's even aware that it's there.
Sure. And these projects are some that Mike brought to me when we very first started as ways to clean up some just weird things that are hanging out there. So like Mike said, this is one of a few that we'll put in front of you guys.
The partials is what it is, just partial pieces and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just cleans it up.
All right, any questions from up here? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2017-5.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Anything else, Dale?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, the next item is Mr. Schneider, BFL Economic Impact.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm just here to present quickly on the Tanner's Creek Fishing Tournament schedule. Since I was appointed as tournament director, I thought it would be smart to get with council at least once a year. 6 months in was my goal, but my full-time job took precedence last council meeting. We have had 43 tournaments. It's the most tournaments we've ever had scheduled out of Tanner's Creek. We've had 43 tournaments there this year. And what I would like to, it should be in everybody's packet, the tournament schedule. And what I would like to draw your attention to is the BFL economic impact. When I took over the scheduling of the tournaments, I thought it would be best to point it in a direction that would also benefit Lawrenceburg. It would be a win-win. It just wouldn't be another tournament, so to speak, or a regular, Wednesday night derby. I really think that we have the infrastructure to support the bigger tournaments. I've proved that this year with the BFL tournaments. We also have the tournaments I'd like to point your attention to is on July 8th, July 15th, September 9th and 10th, and October 14th and 15th. These are bigger venues. In order for me to break this down, the economic impact is in your packet. These are the minor leagues of the farm league, if you will, of professional bass fishing and crappie fishing, which is another huge venue. But as you can see by the economic impact, just a one-day BFL economic impact brings an estimated total economic impact $242,062 to our area. I've been fortunate enough to schedule 4 of these this year, and these are proven to be more than true. These figures do not include the spectators. They do not include the week before they come to practice. Many families stay here. I talked to one of the local hotels, and they said that's on 50, and they said that the tournament fishing maintains 50% of their client base. So it's a big ordeal. So if you look at just a regular standard BFL, just in the which is Bass Fishing League through the Fishing League Worldwide Federation, if you look at how many boaters there's 150 boaters usually in them tournaments plus. Then you got the co-anglers, which is in the back of the boat. There's 150 plus. So that's 300 in the tournament alone. They draw another 570 people in total event people. I would like to just keep you guys apprised of this, and I think that we definitely have the infrastructure to support the bigger venues. I would like to, with your blessing, maybe not this year, but we want to think about it toward the end of the year. I would like to go to Benton, Kentucky and proposition FLW to bring their Costa Series to Lawrenceburg, and maybe even BASS, which is Bassmasters. That's the major league of fishing. Maybe not their World Series, which is called the Bassmaster Classic. That hasn't been done on the Ohio River since 1973. However, I would like to get a elite event, just a regular elite event, which would make those economic impacts look fairly small. So, I think we have the infrastructure to support it. I think that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I think we got one of the nicest ramps on the Ohio River.
And we're going to dredge it.
Yeah. Yep.
Any questions or comments? I'd like to make a comment real quick, David. Personally, I really appreciate you stepping up and taking this over. I know it's not part of your daily job, but you also obviously have a heart for it and a passion, and I appreciate it. He knows the people to get in front of, so I appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. Next item is Mr. Mike Abden, purchase request. And I asked Mike to come tonight because, this money is in his budget, but it was a larger, I'd look at it as a larger ticket item for what we do, except for projects. But I just wanted Mike to come and explain what he's purchasing here before we move forward.
Motion to.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. You do have information in your packet. We are looking at a digital fire extinguisher training system, and as per OSHA Rule 1910-157, if we supply fire extinguishers for our employees to use, we have to train the employees how to use them. I have been to a training session on them. Chief Tremaine went with me. Very good system. Price comparison with the price you have there. There are others out there. Some are priced, but they are video-based. The one we went to up at DCH is pretty much the same as what we would purchase. But with that said, the yearly training, the annual training would be at something we could do in-house rainy days. The cost would be picked up through time, and I could probably let Chief Tremaine talk about not only the safety of not using fire extinguishers, but the cost of refilling them and being able to train more folks. So, open to questions, if you have questions for me.
I totally understand your situation there. It would cost you a lot of money to keep filling these fire extinguishers up and using them for training. So I've seen these out there, and I support you for that.
Any idea what we spend a year on refilling?
All rechargers could run anywhere from $10, $20, $30. It just depends on what sizes.
Right.
You shoot.
I got a price list down there, but that's probably good.
And what was the price on this, Mike? $12,000?
Yeah, 11 something, close to 12.
So once again,
When we went
payback.
up to the hospital, me and Mike did. Mike, what was the number that they run through them a year, 5 or 7?
5.
A year they run all their employees through this thing. And we, at the fire department, we get requested a couple times, 3 times a year to go out to businesses.
Okay.
The guys have Intra-Pack. They have scheduled now to do fire extinguisher training for. So it is it'd be a nice tool to have to go out for the demos on.
You'd probably do a little bit more in-house too than what you do.
Absolutely. We would have in-class training,
For everybody in
right,
here. Yeah.
right, to go with that.
Mhm.
Great idea. Does it actually smoke too?
No, you can buy a smoke machine, that would be extra. You want to throw that in, Tony?
Got you there, Tony.
No, we are going with the basic model. We're not going with the smoke.
Did they give you?
Johnny wanted it.
Did they give you life expectancy on something like this?
The reason we put the extra fire extinguisher in, they are charged, and if you run more people through, it takes longer to charge them, so not a complete life expectancy,
On the whole
but they
thing.
suggested a second extinguisher.
Okay.
Is this something that once a person takes this training, there is any type of certificate, or is this just expected?
I could certify them, but through just in-house training, OSHA says we have to do an annual training.
And it's gonna save us money in the long run. It's gonna cost a lot up front, but it's gonna save us money in the long run.
And I'd be interested also over at Conservancy for a reasonable cost at some point if you guys would bring it over and train my guys.
Yeah, $5,500. Is that how reasonable you wanted to get?
How much was the smoke, Johnny? We'll get that from the LCD.
It's not in the copy I brought, but it is there.
I don't recall, but I will tell you one thing. I do need to buy a smoke machine for the for the training tower. So, you know, I haven't looked at exactly the Bull-X, but it'd be the same thing that I would use over there.
Wait till it shows you a price on that first.
I'll look into that.
Wait till the price comes up.
Talk to y'all.
Can I get a motion
Anything
to,
else you'd like to see?
before we spend any more money,
Here in the middle, I just wanted to.
before we spend any more of Johnny's money, can we get a motion to approve this request to purchase this fire extinguisher demo training? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, no other new business from me. Anyone else, new business?
I got some new but old. I got some questions I want to ask.
How's it gonna be new or old?
New but old.
Because we've talked about it for over a year.
Old then. We'll put it in old.
All right.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna go to old business. The GTO convention is tabled. We're waiting on them to get back to us. The other one would be the 2017 Community Crossings Grant Project. You heard us talking about that in Board of Works. It was passed on to council with a favorable 6 projects, but in order for us to be able to do these projects, we would need your blessing to fund them if we get funded. So that's what we're asking for tonight.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion will carry. Any other old business, Mr. Abbott?
Yes, I got some. I just want to ask a couple questions here and see what we can do.
No.
The restaurant booth, Mario, how much did it cost us to remove the debris from there?
Remove the what from it?
Yeah, logs and debris and everything.
This last
this last time?
15,000.
15,000. Do you remember how much it cost us to fix that boat the last time it was pulled up and repaired?
275.
All right. That's a lot of money, guys. And how much do we lease this out for? $1?
Talks.
Huh?
It's in negotiations.
I know, but is he actually under a lease now, or is it lease forwarded because we didn't get a new one?
It was month to month.
Month to month, okay. Well, I would like to have this board make a motion to the, or a favorable recommendation to the Board of Works to send this out for an RFP for somebody to buy this boat and for us to lease the dock for it. To at least cover enough to remove debris and everything that builds up there, instead of us eating it. Because that's going to be done 3 times a year, I was told, maybe?
The drift removal,
Drift removal.
right now we're getting pricing on a diverter, a boom. Which will come back to the board and
Well, that'd be great.
The only thing I agree, I agree with you, Tony. I don't want to own this thing. Because I don't want to pay the insurance premium or anything else on it, or take the liability. The only thing I do cost you, as far as the debris removal, we own the docks.
Right.
So we have some skin in that game, I think, too.
Well, that's what I said, if we could lease it out for enough, that would cover the cost of the debris removal. That way we're not eating everything.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%, but
So could we have something?
figure out how we can do that in a legally, and we will do that. I'd love to do that.
I don't know, well, we've been thinking about it for a long time, we need to move on it.
Deal on the price. I'd sell it.
I'd sell it for $1.
Don't say that.
It's costing us more than that.
I don't know what that part was.
I mean, I'd like,
That is not an offer, anybody. That was not an offer.
That's right, I'll take 50 cents for it.
I mean, I know, Kelly, I know you mentioned that this is a month to month, but I would at least like Tony to, I would love for us to be right now coming to a solution and finalizing this thing. But if we decide to do this and we take this on aggressively, can we at least call it 2018? He's open.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to rush it, I just,
Season will be ended. I think right now we should be moving to do whatever we're gonna do.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely, at the end of the season.
I think we should be talking to him right now.
Oh, no, I get you.
4/18.
I get you. Before 18, you're right, okay, I
Yeah.
got you. I wasn't following you.
Talking right now.
Got you.
I think we need to end it. I get asked about it all the time. I get told, what are you guys doing? I would love for it to be happening. I'd be honest with you, I'd like for it to be over with.
I think we need to end it before the premium comes due.
And one thing in that lease too, because you guys are the Board of Works, you're going to be doing this, get them on the parking, because that road is blocked constantly. I try and drive down there to get
Get them on
some.
the parking.
Yeah, they park on the other side of the levee.
Oh,
Where we marked yellow, so
we need to control that.
they're not parking where there's yellow now, but they park at the bottom of it and block everything.
I agree.
So we need to control that somehow.
Good point. Anything else, Mr. Abbott?
I'm done. Unless you want me to bring up Walnut Street stoplights.
No, because I think it's working well.
I didn't think so.
I'm getting some knowledge.
Satch, how well are they working?
I almost got hit.
It's working well.
I didn't want to hit that.
I think he's trying to get rid of both of us.
I wouldn't do that. Well, I got one on my right and one on my left.
Somebody ran that light. What light? They were coming towards 50 from the river. Yeah. The light.
All right, any other old business?
You looking for a light?
Okay, we got any advance payments for approval? Okay. I will entertain a motion to pay the claims.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Comments from the audience? Yes, sir? Come up to the podium, Mr. Schneider.
Tom Schneider, I live on High Street. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. Last Monday and Tuesday, the Southeastern Indiana Port Authority sent 4 or 5 people to the Port of Jeffersonville and the Port of Mount Vernon. And while we were there, we asked questions. We had the Economic Development Director from Jeffersonville with us. And so we toured the port, and then we moved over to Charlestown, which is called River Ridge. It's a development, I don't know, there's 1,000+ acres.
It was owned by the government one time, right?
Yes. And then we went down to Mount Vernon afterwards, and we met with the mayor of Mount Vernon, and then we went to that Port of Indiana project. In each area, we asked a question, and the question was, what incentives does the local community give for somebody who wants to locate there?
Give or get?
No, what does the local community give?
Oh.
Okay, or what does a company who wants to locate there get? And the answer to that was no cash, okay, TIFs and bonds through the state, okay, because Lawrenceburg has its own bond bank, and the other programs that the state has.
Right.
Okay, state economic development. So the gist of the whole thing was that these are pretty successful communities. They don't have a casino, so they're not making income from that. In the port themselves, the ports give zero incentives. Right. So, but the local economic development works with the state as to whatever incentives that the state has. So the gist of the whole thing is that Lawrenceburg said last time when Reedy was here that you have $85 million in the rainy day fund. And that's why I think in the work session meeting that you had today, it was very interesting to hear you say that you would work with them, and you asked the question about bonds, okay? And bonds from the LDC, which is income which you're supporting. Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is, if those communities do it, and this includes River Ridge also, they do it, why can't we do it just like you did tonight and keep putting this riverboat money in for rainy days? So I went on the internet, and Barnes and Thornburg have put an overview of tax increment financing in Indiana, and I'll give that to you. It's not too complicated, and this stuff is usually pretty complicated. But I think if Reedy could come in, just like you're recommending, and explain the ifs and all the problems, that this is a way that we can compete with everybody else, not deplete our rainy day fund, and be equal to everyone else. So.
Well, a couple things. Tom, go ahead. You can pass those out or whatever. I'll just give everybody an update from what we know about the port. Number one, Reedy's is coming in on the 25th. It was on your papers I handed out to you guys tonight. It's an open meeting, of course. It'll be at 5 o'clock here in council chambers. Talk about the budget process and TIF to give us overviews. As far as the port is concerned, from you probably hear, you can hear, if you listen to the right people, if you want to call it that, or even the wrong people, but if you read the articles, you'll know that just recently the governor has instructed his office to get involved in the negotiations with the ports of Indiana in the negotiations with purchasing the land over here at AEP property. So everything is moving forward. Obviously, there's some, when you're talking about that many acres that has to be cleaned up, somebody has to maintain the liability for that even after the day that ELT leaves, right? And I think there's some negotiations going on there. Everything still points that the port is coming here. I'll be a bigger believer and a bigger cheerleader once Governor Holcomb is down here and wanting to announce it when he comes down here on site, which they have said they will do. But you're right, Tom. The ports that you're talking about, I've been to those as well. I've talked to the guy up in Portage as well, trying to do all of our homework ahead of time. Just because they haven't had a lot of, the people we talked to in Mount Vernon especially were not happy campers. And I'll tell you why. That port was built in the 60s. It's very haphazard. If you go through the port property down there, it's a very haphazard property. No rhyme or reason for where they put anything. But in addition to that, there is no incentive for the local authorities. No infrastructure incentive, no equipment incentive, and that has already been brought up to this group at a very early stage, both Ports of Indiana, to the governor's office, and to the state, that, you know what, this is our chance, and I'm talking about Lawrenceburg being a piece of that, to do things differently than they've not been able to succeed in with the previous ports.
That's correct.
So I think what you're going to find is, they can either want us to be a player, a partner, more of a partner, not a player, a partner, and from everybody that we've spoken to, and listen, guys, we don't know anymore. I mean, it's still I see it as an infant stage. Until that announcement's made that the Ports of Indiana and the state own the property, then the real rubber will hit the road, because there's got to be a road project discussed, there's got to be a number of other things, and that's when all of us will be in some pretty heavy talks with all
In
that.
Mount Vernon, they have one portion of the loop done for the roads, and they're working on the next one, but the mayor said that every other year they have to redo their road,
Yes.
because you're just not talking about 100 trucks, you're talking about
Thousands.
Yes, and in Jeffersonville, the interstate loop is complete.
Right.
And it's complete because of River Ridge.
Right.
So it's,
Good point.
so that's just.
No, everything you're saying is right. I don't want to scare anybody. I think it's still a very positive move forward for this community and for this southeastern Indiana. Just because, there's some things that happened with the Mount Vernon. I mean, we've been on that road that they're talking about. It goes through the main downtown of Mount Vernon. It was very poorly laid out, and that's something that we need to make sure that we avoid when those talks start. So I think we can maybe, rewrite how things go. Yes, sir?
Good evening, Dennis Hutchins. I want to thank you for coming up earlier. I wasn't going to come to the podium tonight, but since you brought it up, since your comments when he brought it up brought me to the podium now. It's about the trail. several months, I came before council and I addressed the issue that trail maintenance was an important issue. I stood at this podium and I recommended that we put together a committee of volunteers to start to do something. And at that time, if my memory serves me, I even offered to be part of that because I lived on the Appalachian Trail for 10 years, so I know a little bit about trail maintenance. Ours is not extensive at all. But I ride the trail no less than 3 days a week, all the way down. I ride it with Dr. Leakey. Rode it with him today, and he was embarrassed for us on how the trail looks. I think you need to see it for yourself, Kelly. It's grown up, it's not maintained, and that trail was meticulously maintained before.
We had a guy that...
Yeah, I know, and that's one of the reasons I came before you guys, was because I knew he was retiring, and it's a problem. And our bicycle program is phenomenal. It's really, I see bikes all over town. It's really, really nice. And, you know, they have the same deal in Aurora, and, you know, we're trying to connect this thing, and we've gone the wrong way on the trail. So I don't want to beat Paul's point, but I want to tell you, I'm personally embarrassed by how the trail looks. And I think the city should be too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just making a note here, guys. Anybody else? Yes, sir?
How y'all doing this evening?
Good.
Good. I don't like notes. I hate it. I just like to talk to y'all straight up, but I hate writing notes down. My name's Dana. You know, last time I was in here, I really wasn't nervous. I was more frustrated than anything. Just with myself, just trying to talk to y'all and think about something. You know, don't think about it. There should not be any thinking about it. Just get it done. Do it. I lived in Lawrenceburg all my life besides traveling. I told you that before. All my life. I've been around this nation. I've been across seas. Y'all know what's going on with this heroin. Y'all know what's going on, what's happening down here. It should not be a question about having a facility in Dearborn County. And Mr. Mayor, you said this one statement, because hindsight's 20/20. It ain't just a Dearborn County problem. But listen to me, you said that, it's stated. And you said that. Well, you know what, starvation around the world is not the United States problem, but we do it, that's why the United States is blessed. When Donald Trump says this, and I ain't putting down Donald Trump, make America great again, America's never stopped being great. Because we feed the world, we're blessed. This is not just a Dearborn County problem, we'll make it Dearborn County's problem. They ain't just killing themselves, I'm talking about with the heroin, they're actually hanging themselves, literally. I mean, just the other day, a dude hung himself with Scudder Apartments. Another dude, because of what was going on, there's a body missing right now. And 2 boys hung themselves and was involved in hanging around each other. People in the streets are saying this, they probably hid that body and couldn't handle the guilt. We need to take care of this, man. Y'all have it half-lit. You got a welding place over there where Ivy Tech's at, where that big pond's at. You got it half-lit. Right? Do what you got to do politically. Perfect spot. Let's get a rehab down here. They shouldn't have to go out of state. They should not go out of town for this. It ain't just drugs, alcohol, but this heroin is tearing this town up. And I'm talking about the Lawrenceburg people. Everybody's talking about beautifying Lawrenceburg. Don't beautify Lawrenceburg with buildings, mortar, cutting dirt. Beautify the people. Really, man. I'm telling all y'all that. That's real. That's real talk. Hold on 1 second. Just listen to me. It's not cool what's happening down here. It's not cool, and y'all need to address it. That's one thing. Unless you want to go ahead
Can
and
we
say
talk
something.
about that one?
Go ahead.
Dana, you're preaching to the choir. I just had a nephew who passed away because of that. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you think that I don't care about this, I'm going to take the dipper with you. All right?
I did not say that you didn't care. I did not say that you did not care. I said think and
Well,
pay
that's-
attention to what's happening down
That's the
there.
impression I get.
No, I apologize. And why should I have to apologize in front of everybody's face? It's here. It's right here.
Trust me, Dana, I know. I just, listen, ask Chief Combs. We developed that QRT team to go out and try and help families, to help the guy or gal that OD'd, to get them some help after the fact, because you know what, we can't do it ourselves.
With all due respect to you, the first thing you should have said to me right now
Yes.
about putting up a building, about taking one of these buildings down here and doing all this, and we're going to use that building. We're going to have a hit rehab center. Nobody wants it in their backyard, but guess what? It's in your backyard. I'm being real, man. Right when I'm reading these notes, the first thing I put on here, that's what I said. I'm being real with you. Don't throw stones at glass houses. Hear me first. Father, please let these people listen to me. Listen. Pay attention. I wasn't going to come to this meeting. I was going to wait. It's because the holiday, I wasn't going to come down here. And I'm not talking to you, and I'm going to say this to you. And it's on here. I apologize to the Milan family. Kevin is a good friend of mine. One time at band camp, you hear me now?
I hear you.
I'm just saying. Good friend of mine, and he was a class clown. And I was sorry to hear that. Kevin's a friend of mine, dude. You know, I'm sorry about that.
Well,
but
let's just-
but no, but why don't you say that you guys are going to think about it? Just say, we're going to think about this. At least say that. We're going to think about getting a place down here in Dearborn County. Just say it.
You know, it's been talked about, Dana, redevelopment has talked about it. The idea of bringing a building to town is not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea to bring it to Dearborn County. The problem is, it's just not somebody like myself or anybody sitting up here has the expertise or the knowledge of what is needed. I mean, you got to have people that do this for a living. You got to have them be able to want to open this thing up. You got to have them. I mean, we can put all the money in the world into something, but if you don't have the right people running it, the right people doing it, it's not going to make a bit of difference. Do you agree with that?
I'm glad you brought that up. For my life, I'm glad you brought that up. We have enough money that we can throw out. People owe us millions of dollars down yonder. And we're watching these kids die around here. We can put up a building, go to the state, say, look, we're going to be a standing point in the state of Indiana, and say, look, we're going to show the state of Indiana that we're here. We have the money. You're not going to tell me we don't have the money, man.
I didn't say that.
You're not going to tell me that today, not today.
I didn't say that.
You're not going to say that. No, you did say that. You did say you're talking about it's going to take this, going to take that. We have the money to do that.
But you know what? But our job is not to throw money at something that we're not. You don't throw money. You don't throw good money at bad. What I'm saying. What I said was we don't have the expertise.
Don't throw good money at bad and people are dying?
Because we don't have the expertise. Maybe you're talking to the wrong person here, buddy.
No, I'm not. Look, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a private. Had to go to the lance corporal, to the corporal, to the sergeant, to the lieutenant, to the captain, to the general, so forth. I'm coming to you first. And hold on. This is my last meeting. I'm going to do it out of anger. I'm coming to you first. It's a document, so I'm coming to you first.
Sure.
That's what I'm doing. I'm coming to my council because this is my local government.
That's you, right.
And I'm not angry, but I'm talking to you, man. We got to really pay attention to this. So I did my job. We can end this conversation now. I apologize if I made anybody angry or whatever.
Dana, Dana, I like to say, we have a group now working on this exact thing, and they're trying to make sure that they have this sustainability. They don't want to open it for 6 months and be gone. They're going through Indiana federal grants, and we're going to give them a building. They're going to maintain it. They're going to have people there. We're working on it, but it's just something you can't do at the snap of a finger.
I know that. I already know this.
But that's what Mr. Milan meant, Mayor Milan meant by somebody to run it.
You got her half licked. You guys got Ivy Tech over there, and they started welding over here instead of going down to Madison, going to Versailles, and with this welding. We're a blue-collar town. We have iron workers here, boiler makers. Sigrams would not be Sigrams. Shinley would not be Sigrams. It went for boiler makers, iron workers, and welders. You got the building, at the same time, you need the skills before people go in there and work. Well, let's see, they got a welding shop over there, promote that also, and also as you train these guys to get a certification, train them and help them as far as with their addiction as they're learning. Give them some positive stuff, man. We do not have enough around here for young men and women. You guys hired, and I said this the last time, you guys hired these young kids during the summer. Hold on 1 second, please. What about the families and these kids who they got kids and moms, and why are you just hiring kids? Why not take, you know what, we're going to take 5 families. We're going to hire a man and a woman and see what their income is. You know what, we're going to help them 5 families out. You're hiring puppies. And nothing's wrong with that. It's all positive. I did that when I was on CAI and Speedy program. It was good for me. But at the same time, what about the adults who's running around here not knowing what to do? And then they get on drugs. Poverty creates drug addiction. Please, we got the money, man. And this is Lawrenceburg people, my people. Start helping the Lawrenceburg people out. For real, I'm talking about the Lawrenceburg people. High Street and Walnut Street ain't just to be beautified. Go over to 6th and R Street where you got Concepts next door to my mom's. You got BP next to my mom's. You know how much water I give out? You know how many times I make somebody a sandwich because they say they're hungry? Go to Lawrenceburg and help them people out. I'm gonna end that subject. I got one other thing to talk about. And that's it. And I'm gonna let it go. And please forgive me. I'm not angry. I gotta talk to y'all. It seems like you guys got blinders on. You guys are going one way and ain't thinking. Fine. I'm gonna say something, Mr. Weldon, this is you. For real. This is you in this letter, you put this on this lawsuit. So I'm gonna give you a head start. This is an important victory for the city of Lawrenceburg, not just for this case, but other cases that we feel are baseless and make our city a target for litigation, said Weldon. Mayor Milan ran on a promise to end the flood of lawsuits that have harmed the taxpayers. Our city council has backed that promise. We will not allow these attorneys and plaintiffs to take advantage of the city. We will fight and we will win. We will win. We will send a message that we are no longer a target for litigation, and we are not going to pay the settled baseless lawsuits. This is Ms. Weldon, please, with all due respect. I want you to go back 40 years. Bucky Thomas, my uncle, was a deacon and part of the Union Valley Baptist Church. He said, Dana, just don't go back 40 years, go back 60. For real, the way you have hired black people for the city, because it's one thing. You hire them because they're black like it's a quota. This is 2017. This is 2017. I'm going to give you a head start. And I'm asking you one question. Will you do that? And that way this lawsuit won't be frivolous. I'm asking you to do that. Just look at it. The attorney.
Let me speak to that. That lawsuit, Dana, had nothing to do with being black or white. Right?
Oh, Jesus. Listen to me. Walking out that door and just talking to people. Listen. Please, before you guys.
We are listening.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Listen.
You know what? Dee Hawkins was the last one to get hired, and this is what she said to me. She ain't going to lose her job because y'all can't do it. Troy Kemper, all these boys are like, because everybody's not talking stupid like I'm up here talking to y'all. They're saying the same thing. They got hired because they was black because of quota.
That's absolutely wrong, Dana. That's absolutely wrong. Ain't nobody I know have been hired just because they're black.
Listen to me. Just listen, guys.
Okay, Dana, we're not going to get anywhere tonight. So we won't be.
I agree with you. I agree with that.
Here's what I'll do.
This ain't about me. Because I'm a worker, she's not a worker. I'm just now getting on my feet, coming off a disability, getting on my feet, and that fog is lifted. I pray to God every day, my fog is lifted. And I'm seeing my own town. You ever walk in your house, any of y'all walk in your house, something's wrong. One minute. Something's wrong here.
Dana,
guys, you're in the wrong. Both countries I said,
come talk to me. All right?
I'm not angry. But you seem like you guys ain't listening.
We're listening. Trust me.
Talk, dude.
Well, true.
Beyond anything, y'all need to take care of this problem. People are not just dying on heroin. They're committing suicide because they're on heroin. They're hanging themselves. Donnie, come on, man. You know what's up. I don't want you to back me up. Donnie, you know it's a problem. For real, dude. This is not cool. It's not cool by concept to be in the front of my mom, but y'all allowed it.
We did.
Come on, man.
Hey, listen, Dino, we'll end it right here.
I'm gonna end this.
We're gonna end it right here, okay?
Okay.
You can come, Steve, and we'll talk about every subject you just brought up. You bring your notes, you bring whatever you want, bring whoever you want with you, I don't care. But listen, when I talk about I'm talking about this group up here. We've been here for a year and a half, all right? We inherited quite a few things, and you know what? I cannot speak to what happened. I don't remember how many years ago concepts got approved. I have no idea.
It wasn't approved, it was grandfathered, wasn't it?
The city did not
Well-
allow it, there was a lawsuit, and the judge.
You know, some things, you know, I mean, we don't have all the facts. We don't have all the facts.
I got one last question. I'm walking out the door. A show of hands from city council members to where any of y'all have family members working for the city, to where y'all been where you influence people to work, to where you sit there and help your family get on with the city and your friends or family, whatever, to where y'all say there's nepotism, y'all ain't doing it no more. Let me see a show of hands.
Dana, I've been listening to you for 20 years, maybe 30, maybe 40. There's a young man that married my daughter that just got hired by the city. Probably one of the best hires that they made in the last 20 years. And I'll stand by it. So, that's the hand you wanted to see. I'll say it every day and every meeting for the next 5 years.
It ain't just you, Paul. It ain't just you. Don't go there. But at least you had the balls to say something. It ain't just you, man. It ain't just you, man. This shit's been going on.
I grew up.
It's a good old boys club down here, guys.
You know, good old.
I have to, we're going to agree to disagree.
That we adjourn this meeting. I'm tired of hearing it.
Yeah, we're going to agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree on it. All right.
You guys have a good one.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Everybody have a good one.
One more thing.
Yes.
Who's in charge of these envelopes? My hands can't, I can get the paper
Quit
out, but I
complaining.
can't get it back in. I need bigger envelopes.
No, we need to go paperless. Motion to adjourn. I need a second to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Mel did.
All right, thanks, Mel. All right, all those in favor? Second. Opposed, motion carries. Have a great 4th.
That was a hell of a fireworks show we had there. You did that on purpose, man. Yeah.
You know what? Yeah.